you do that, and as you bring Robbie into the light, you can see that lifetime in a whole new way, from a different perspective. You may notice there are guides or guardians there with you, or you may just feel a sense of support as you look back over that lifetime. You can see all the lessons that you learned or were supposed to learn, all the connections that you made. You can see your purpose for going into that life, for having that experience. So as you look back over your life as Robbie, what did you learn through that experience?
That even when we don't think we have a choice, we have choice.
Mm. How did you learn that? What allowed you
Just
to understand
all the options that ran through his mind
that? Mm.
and how letting other people and circumstances contain your choice or feel like it's contained your choice. The choice is ultimately there.
Mm. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, what was your purpose in going into that lifetime? Why did you incarnate into those circumstances?
To make the choice, basically. Um, I feel like maybe there's been other versions of that one.
A lot of different potentials from that lifetime.
Yeah.
What was important for Bambi to see this version of that lifetime? And notice that your higher self, your soul, is there to answer. What's important for Bambi to know looking back over Robbie's lifetime?
Sometimes there are indirect ways to get things done.
Hmm.
Um, and that even when quiet choices are made, there can still be things that come from it.
Notice all of those souls that Robbie was helping in that lifetime. I want your soul to show you all those people that Robbie was assisting, all the different lessons he was helping them learn. What did you help others with in that lifetime?
At some points, possibility. Some people had given up making change because the loud, fast change looks like it has more results.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. You learned that the loud, fast change isn't always the best way.
It's not the only way.
It's not the only way. And how can Bambi apply this understanding in her current lifetime? How's she able to understand this on deeper levels now?
Just being reminded that there are multiple pathways to an end goal, and also to show her that holding on to the anger and resentment isn't always necessary or helpful.
Yeah, good point. I was curious about Robbie holding that energy in his jaw. You want to allow him to release that. And also just notice any places where Bambi's holding on to energy in this lifetime. I wonder, what can she do with that energy? Where can it go so she doesn't have to hold it in the body?
Actually use the tools she knows. And work on discipline and organization with the things that she wants to change. Small, consistent steps are just as effective as big leaps.
Beautiful, wonderful. I wonder if you can show that to her on her timeline, that line that we've been using. How does that want to pop up on that timeline? How do you want to show her those small, consistent steps as she moves into her future?
Just the little dots that are close enough together to almost create a line of their own.
Wonderful. And what types of tools or practices is she going to be putting on repeat going forward?
Needs to do more grounding and purging.
What do those look like? Does she have practices in which she does that?
She needs to find backups for when she can't get to her tree.
Yeah. Is there a visualization she can do? If she can't get to her tree, can she bring the tree's energy to her?
Yes, that's a good idea.
Let's practice that just for a moment now.
That.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm here for. Imagine just for a moment that you're connecting with that tree, and instead of having to go physically to that tree, you can bring that energy even into this room or any room that you're in. And just notice you can go through pretty much exactly the same steps that you would go through normally. Just allow that energy to come into the now, come into the present moment, wherever the body is. And as that tree comes into this discussion, your tree has a message for you. What do they want to tell you? What's important for you to know?
That you're always being supported.
I'm curious, and this question's for Bambi's soul or her guides or any part that wants to answer. Be her body, her mind, her spirit. But how does she know how to trust what's important? I wonder if it's a feeling or a knowing or a vibration or more color.
When she finds those times when she doesn't feel restricted.
Mm-hmm. And what does that freedom feel like?
Big things and small things. Some of it's perception.
Tell me about that a little bit. What kind of perceptions are equal the difference between freedom and limitation?
Um, it's just more about not looking at everything that slows you down as a cage.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just inviting a different way to get around.
Yeah, that's part of that slow and steady, part of those options.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I know that Bambi came into the session feeling like it's all my fault, storing that energy. That's her soul. What would you like to tell her about feeling like she has so much responsibility and it's all her fault? How would you like to frame that feeling? What can she do with that energy?
If it's all your fault, then they're admitting you have more power than you know.
She can use that as an empowerment tool as opposed to feeling like it's like she's failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I wonder, can you help her reframe that from her past? Maybe take a look at that timeline, all those places on the timeline where she's felt like it's my fault. Is there a color that it's my fault wants to come up as, or a symbol? What's that look like on the timeline?
Gonna shift it from like muddy to yellow.
Beautiful. And as you do that, notice how empowered you really are, how much power she's been hiding under guilt, under shame. And as that past shifts from that muddy color to that more yellow, that vibrant energy, see how does that affect the future going forward? How do you see that changing what Bambi's experiencing now as she recognizes her power?
Um, allowing a lightening of the weight or burdens of daily responsibility. Shifting perspective to I can instead of I have to. I'm obligated. Shifting it to I get to
Ah, get to.
so that it has less weight and shame and guilt.
I'm curious why she was shown that incident with the closet and the eye. What was important about that time in her life? What did she need to see from that event?
But sometimes trying to do it by yourself isn't great. That assuming things that have been how it was before are the way it's gonna be isn't always helpful and sometimes gets you hurt or doesn't get you to your goal.
Okay, something about the injury itself, something about the eye. What does the soul want to say is important about that eye, that injury? It's the
Things aren't
left.
always the way they seem. The way you see it isn't always the only way it is.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like she has a connection with words, being a scribe, working at the printing press. What's important about words in Bambi's connection?
Words are power. They can build up or tear down. They can evoke hatred or they can evoke love.
How would you like her to keep using her words to evoke love in this lifetime? How do you see that happening? Or how's she already doing it?
She's doing it pretty decently.
She mentions journaling.
I was just gonna say she needs to work on expressing them more and especially the internal experience and getting it out so it's not stuck inside.
Part of that purging that you
Mm-hmm.
suggested. Yeah, it's something that she could do, yeah, every day, every couple days. Put it on repeat.
Yeah, something like that. Start small until it gets easy to get bigger.
Yeah. I want you to give her just a glimpse, a picture, an image, a graph of all the people that she's helped just in this life, just in her lifetime as Bambi. Just give her a visual representation of how what she does is impactful and the people that she's impacted. How do you want to show her that?
Ripples in the water.
Beautiful.
Each action is a tiny little drop, but it expands as it goes.
And how does she feel herself accepting love from the collective, or how would you like her to feel that? How can she let it in as well as sending it out?
That's been a hard task with her.
What makes it so hard? What wants to be changed or released or opened up that will let her do that just a little bit better and better and better? It's keeping her.
I think the journaling would help her
Yeah.
to see it. Um, Not everyone that says good things means it in an offhanded way. And they're verbalizing it doesn't mean it's performative.
Mm. Hmm. Good point. It seems like she can tell the difference. How will she keep accepting as she's refining those judgments?
It's probably gonna have to break down more a little bit.
Break down more. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have emotion. It's okay to express those emotions.
Yeah.
Good job.
and find more times alone to express without restraint.
Mm. Mhm. No, we're looking at all the times that she's been punished, in a lifetime, in a body for telling the truth or for holding the truth or supporting the truth. I wonder, how does that look on the spiritual side? Are we punished for expressing our truth, or is that something that we have benefit
Not as
from?
a, that's an earthly thing.
Yeah. How's it so different down here? What's the point of that?
To learn how to tell your truth despite the consequences, the repercussions, the sideways glances, and in the past, the death. I think the biggest recognition for her and others, it doesn't mean what it used to mean. It doesn't end the way it used to end. For the most part, anyway.
And even if it did, something tells me we're not supposed to lie.
Speaking your truth is one of the most important things you can do for your own authenticity.
How does that pertain to this life as Bambi? How can she speak her truth? In what ways can she keep expressing herself that she's been holding back up until now?
Mm, that's tricky because humans are tricky.
It's a strange balance, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Because on one hand, she wants to spread her wings. On the other hand, she doesn't want to knock anyone over with them.
Was there times she's knocked people over with her wings? What's that like?
Um, she's been hurt so much, the last thing she wants to do is hurt someone else, even by accident.
I wonder, is the way someone judges something, is that within her control?
Absolutely not.
So we just want to show her that
Yeah,
she can't control. I'm almost seeing, you opening the wings and someone flying into your wing as you're opening it. Like, that's not your fault.
right?
Yeah, we want to acknowledge that you're not trying to hurt anyone.
And often, someone seeing your wings open shows them they can open theirs.
Right. Or it bounces them into the reality they're needing to experience, or the contemplation that they need.
Well, and the discomfort of their captivity doesn't need to be yours.
Right, right. That's a beautiful way to put it. The discomfort of their captivity does not need to be yours. Beautiful. And before we end the session today, I know that Bambi's tired. I just want to make sure that we've covered everything that we can, everything that wants to come through. So I want to look about her career, her pathway, her finances. What does the soul want to tell Bambi about what to pursue, or how to know when she's found it? how to trust the process, anything that wants to come through about money, about jobs, about how to tackle these very 3D world problems. What does she need to know?
I feel like she's trusting the process okay,
Mhm.
but the human earthly need to exchange money for basic needs is what the issue is. And her husband fluctuates um with accepting that and not accepting that.
Mhm.
Um she needs to get off her ass and start doing the things that she already wants to do and make the art and get it out there. She already knows sites that you can upload your designs to. It might not be money right away, but it could be passive money at some point. Um, and
Is it safe to say that as she puts what she loves on repeat, that the rewards will come in one way or another?
yes.
How do you want to show that to her? Because I've been told that before, and it's hard to, it's easy to believe, but it's hard to see. How do you want to show that to her, in a way that makes sense?
Just the more that you feel like the self that's uncontained, the more uncontained yourself will be. Kind of goes hand in hand. Even, you know, even if you do McDonald's for 2 weeks, for example,
Right.
that's at least income you didn't have. You don't have to agree to 40 hours.
Yeah. And maybe you'll learn something or meet someone there that's just irreplaceable. You never, you just never know.
Yeah, pieces are always falling into place for that.
What are the
Um,
things that she loves to do? I'm sure she already knows, but just reminding her.
um, creating art. Um, if she gets income, she can do some of the certifications for art therapy and other things like that.
Yeah. Because she
Um,
mentioned that D&D therapy. I love that idea. That's something that she's interested in. I think that'd be so cool.
yeah, she doubts her ability to remember the rules, or else she probably would already be DMing.
Yeah, well, with healing, there's not a whole lot of rules. So,
No, but D&D does have them.
yeah, just encourage her that she can make whatever makes sense for her. Rules, no rules, variable rules. Seems like the universe has a few set rules, and then the rest are kind of a little
Right,
negotiable.
right.
Well, before we end the session today, I want to talk about that deep, heavy energy that she's been carrying around in this lifetime. I know we just touched on one aspect, Robbie's lifetime. But what else does she need to know about the root cause of this heaviness? Where does it come from? Or what is it helping her do? What's her soul mission? And how does it relate to these feelings?
Um, Her sole mission is to empower herself and others for healing and expansion. And it is a big task.
Yeah,
So that's why it's so weighty.
it's heavy.
Yeah. Um,
She's being encouraged to look at it little by little.
yeah. And just differently again.
Right,
It's a
right.
big and weighty feeling because of the empathy of it, but as much as you share in the weight, you can share in the lightness.
Mm-hmm. Good to know, good to remember. Yeah, with the idea that this message may go out to others, this might be broadcast on YouTube. We'll talk about that when she wakes up. But with the idea that this is collective information, I'm curious, does your soul, your higher self, or any guide have a message for the collective? What do people need to know? What wants to come through?
As you heal the small aspects of your own experience, it ripples through, much like the thing mentioned earlier. It ripples through and it expands. And even though it looks like you're only healing something small, it gets bigger as it moves away from you.
What's
And
the
so
important part? Sorry to interrupt.
you're fine. Um, I mean, the important part is you're connected. Whatever you do for you, you're doing for another anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're healing for you, you are healing another. If you're taking time to love you, you are loving another. If you fill your cup, you are filling the cup of another.
It goes for
You don't
opening her
have,
wings.
you don't have to be so self-sacrificing to have the same impact.
Gotcha.
It just might not be seen from the outside yet. And like a seed, it takes time. You might not see any progress for a while.
Wonderful. And on that note, there's one more message that wants to come through to you directly, Bambi, you from your future self. It's already been past the obstacles. It's already seen multiple pathways and wants to guide you along those pathways that best serve you. See her up there, even ahead on your timeline, looking back at you, inviting you to come into the future. What's that message from your future self to your present self? What does she want you to know?
The more you stand in your truth and power, the more space you're given because you're holding it. If you hold your space, it's not taken away. But if you give away your space, you lose it. And the freedom goes with it. Because the more power that you give up, the more space you give up, and the more constrained you feel.
Ooh. Almost seeing that timeline, those pathways getting wider and wider as you're able to take up more space. How does it feel in your body as you take up more space?
A little bit lighter.
Like, excellent job. Coming back fully. And three, wide awake. Feeling wonderful all over, ready to take on the rest of your day. Good morning. Well, how did that feel compared to some of the other journeys you've taken?
Um, the face was the clearest visual I've had.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
So
that was just very clear.
that's what Robbie looked
It's,
like.
I'm guessing
Yeah,
so.
it must be. I really did get that name. Like, it's funny that I got that name in particular. I almost said it. Like Robert, Bob, my grandpa. That's another name I get strange connections with. So interesting. Um, how's your body feel?
There's less tension in my neck than there was. And at some point in time during it, it definitely got very clenched up, my
Yeah,
throat,
yeah.
neck, and stuff.
Having
Yeah.
to deal with that Iggy guy.
The
Ugh.
jaw is still clicking, but
Yeah, well, something tells me there's probably more. That's not the only icky guy, the only lifetime you've been punished, but something tells me that's
right,
the one that makes most sense for whatever you're going through right now.
right.
So don't be intimidated to go, examine those other types of experiences or just kind of assume that you've been doing the same thing over and over and over. I mean, heck, it
Yeah.
sounds like in this lifetime, at least you don't have to expose anybody, like yet, right now. It's just, we all know.
It's more, I think it's more of exposing the failings of the systems is
Right,
what I'm getting feeling.
right.